The night the storm hit Willow Creek, the wind howled like a wounded beast, rain hammering against the tin roofs of the forgotten little town. The streets were empty, lights flickering in the distance, and the only sound that broke through the storm was the faint whimper of a child. Inside a dimly lit garage on the edge of town, Ryan Cooper, a 36-year-old single father, tightened the last bolt on a rusted pickup truck, his grease-stained hands trembling with exhaustion. The day had been long, customers few, and bills many. He was just about to close shop when he heard it, the muffled cry again, followed by a woman's weak plea for help that he stepped out into the storm, his worn jacket doing little to protect him from the cold rain. The beam of his flashlight cut through the darkness, landing on a sight that froze him in place. A woman, drenched and bruised, clutching a small boy to her chest. Her eyes were swollen, her lips cut, and the child beside her couldn't have been older than 6, his face smeared with mud and fear. Ryan rushed forward without thinking. The woman tried to speak, but her voice broke. "Please, help us. Before you go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humanity, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more such heart-touching stories to life." Ryan lifted the boy gently in his arms and helped the woman inside his garage. The place smelled of oil and rain, but it was warm compared to the storm outside. He wrapped them both in an old blanket, put on the kettle for tea, and watched as the woman trembled silently, clutching her son's hand as though she might lose him at any second. The boy looked up at Ryan with wide eyes, his voice small. "Is mommy gonna be okay?" Ryan forced a smile and nodded, even though worry knotted his stomach. He didn't ask questions right away. Something in her expression told him she'd been through more than words could explain. He brought her a warm cup and said softly, "You're safe here." Hours passed before she finally spoke her name, Laura Hayes. She said she had been running for days, from people who wanted to harm her and her son. Her husband had died under mysterious circumstances, and ever since, his powerful family had turned against her, accusing her of things she hadn't done. Ryan listened, trying to piece it all together. Laura spoke about her late husband, Michael Hayes, the only son of the Hayes oil family, one of the richest names in the state. The Hayeses had built an empire from oil, but beneath their fortune ran veins of greed and cruelty. After Michael's sudden death, Laura discovered that he had left everything, the entire fortune, to their son, not to his family. And that made her a target. They wanted the inheritance back, even if it meant destroying her. That Ryan's mind reeled. Just a few hours ago, he was worrying about how to pay rent and buy groceries for his 8-year-old daughter, Maddie. Now he had 2 strangers in his care, strangers whose lives were worth millions. But as he looked at Laura, shivering in his flannel shirt, and at the little boy sleeping on his workbench under a blanket, all he saw were people who needed help. Money didn't matter. Humanity did. The next few days were quiet, but heavy with tension. Ryan hid Laura and her son, Noah, in the small guest room above the garage. Maddie, curious and kind-hearted like her father, instantly took to Noah. They played together in the corner, building little car models from spare parts while Laura slowly regained her strength. Ryan worked double shifts at the garage, sometimes fixing engines till dawn, pretending everything was normal. But deep down, he knew it wasn't. Strange cars started passing by the garage at night, slowing near his driveway. Once, he found tire marks by the back gate. Someone was looking for them. One evening, as rain began again, Ryan found Laura sitting by the window, tears glistening in the dim light. "You've done so much already," she whispered. "But I can't keep hiding here. They'll find us, and I can't drag you and Maddie into this." Ryan shook his head. "You're not dragging us into anything. You didn't choose this life. You just got caught in a storm." He smiled faintly. "I know what that feels like." Because Ryan knew pain. His wife had died when Maddie was 3, and he'd been struggling ever since, working long hours, skipping meals, pretending he wasn't tired. Also, his daughter could smile. He knew what it meant to lose everything and still have to keep going. Laura saw that in him. For the first time in years, she felt safe. Days turned into weeks. Laura began helping around the garage, cleaning tools, bringing lunch, laughing with Maddie. It almost felt like a family again, something Ryan thought he'd never have. But peace doesn't last forever. One afternoon, a black SUV pulled up outside the garage. 3 men in suits stepped out, their faces cold and sharp. "We're looking for someone," one of them said. Ryan felt his heart race, but he kept his voice calm. "You've got the wrong place." The man glanced around, eyes narrowing on the stairs leading to the guest room. "Mind if we take a look?" Ryan stepped forward, blocking the way. "Yeah, I mind." The air grew thick. One of the men smirked. "You don't want trouble, friend." Ryan stared him down, his jaw tight. "I've already got plenty. Don't add yourself to it." After a tense moment, they left, but not before warning him. "If you're hiding them, you'll regret it." That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. The rain returned, and thunder shook the walls. Laura came downstairs, pale and shaking. "They'll be back," she said. "They always come back." Ryan looked at her, then at his daughter sleeping on the couch. "Then we'll be ready," he said quietly. The next morning, he made a decision that would change everything. He drove to the local police chief, a man he'd known since high school, and told him everything. At first, the chief didn't believe him. But when Ryan showed him the documents Laura had kept hidden, Michael Hayes' real will, proof of ownership, and evidence of the family's threats, the truth could no longer be denied. The chief promised protection, but word spread fast. The Hayes family had connections everywhere. That night, as lightning flashed across the sky, Ryan's garage was attacked. Windows shattered, flames sparked near the door, and voices shouted from outside. Ryan grabbed his daughter and Laura's boy, guiding them to the back exit. Laura refused to leave him. "You saved us once," she said, eyes fierce. "I'm not leaving you behind." Together, they escaped through the rain, sprinting across the fields as the garage burned behind them. The place Ryan had built with his bare hands, his only livelihood, was gone. But as he looked at Maddie clinging to his arm and Laura clutching her son, he realized something. He hadn't lost everything. He'd found something worth far more. The next morning, news broke. The Hayeses were arrested after police raids uncovered forged documents, financial crimes, and proof of their attempts to silence Laura. Her husband's will was validated in court, and Laura and Noah were legally restored as rightful heirs to the Hayes oil empire. Cameras flashed, headlines exploded, but amidst all the chaos, Ryan stood quietly in the background, his clothes still smelling of smoke and oil. Weeks later, Laura returned to Willow Creek, not in a limousine, but in the same old car Ryan had once fixed. She walked into the small motel room where Ryan and Maddie were staying, carrying a box in her hands. Inside it was a set of brand new tools, a deed, and a key. "It's your garage," she said softly. "Rebuilt, bigger than before. I owe you everything, Ryan." He looked at her, speechless. "You don't owe me anything." Laura smiled through her tears. "Then let's just call it a new beginning." The story of Ryan, Laura, and their children spread across the state like wildfire. A poor mechanic who had saved an heiress and her son, expecting nothing in return, and gained a family instead. Reporters wanted interviews, magazines offered money, but Ryan refused them all. All he wanted was peace, love, and the quiet sound of laughter in his home again. Months later, the rebuilt Cooper and Hayes garage stood proudly on the same spot, with Ryan and Laura working side by side, their children playing under the afternoon sun. The storm that once brought fear now felt like a distant memory, a reminder that even in the darkest nights, acts of kindness can light the way.